Welcome to another edition of What Barrie's Talking About from Barrie 360. I'm Dan Blakely. On this week's program, the police chief stops by to talk about downtown, the intricacies of patrolling there, and what the mayor would like to see happen. You may need dentures one day. There are expensive options and less costly options. We get insights into how the dentures program at Georgian College can help. Queen's Park spending some money in Romero Township to upgrade wastewater infrastructure. We get that story from Ontario's interim minister for infrastructure. Hearing a lot about ticks this spring. Picking them off pets, picking them off yourself. Is it a bumper season for them in Simcoe County? What can we do about them? And we have a sit-down with returning Barrie Bay cat, Kenise Ejo. We get the conversation started after this. We are with Barrie Police Chief Rich Johnston. Chief, the downtown has always been a topic long before you took over the reins. It has now become amplified. City Council passed a motion a few weeks ago. One of the focus was on, of course, enforcement by Barrie Police acting on drug enforcement, drug traffickers, people using. But a day later, Barrie Police responded saying downtown issues are complex, but police are promising enforcement and compassion. So how do you combine both?
I think you recognize the complexity of the situation, but that doesn't mean that we're not going to be doing both. And specifically, when we talk about open drug use, we've heard from our community, we've heard from our elected officials. It is making people feel unsafe. And let me be clear, open drug use is illegal in this country. And so as a public safety organization, we do have a mandate and we will, as best as possible, make our downtown safe. Having said that, it's how we go about carrying out our duty that matters most in our community as well. How you treat people that are suffering and that are addicted to substances. It is illegal to use. And when we're engaging with them, we will treat them with dignity and respect, but it is still illegal.
Now, does illegal mean you're going to lay charges? I think you were quoted in the media release. What you're often seeing isn't always a crime.
And that's important. And so, I do want to make that differentiation because I think there are times where we can't be everywhere at all times. And we are a finite resource, but where someone has already used the substance and what you're seeing is someone in the throes of the effect of those drugs, it can be very disconcerting for a number of our public. It's very uncomfortable to see, and you see someone who is acting in not what we would consider a normal fashion. That can disrupt someone's daily activity when they see that. That is not illegal to be intoxicated by drugs. That's very different than the open drug use, and that's prior to. So it is, we do recognize that so much of that is part of that discomfort. Also, we are challenged in our society, in our community, but also in Ontario and across Canada with growing homelessness. And I don't want to say they're all tied together, but part of that is when people see disheveled individuals and they view what they're doing as loitering or hanging around, it can be a discomfort for a whole bunch of people. They may not be threatening in any way, but they may make people feel uncomfortable or unsafe.
You've talked about that before, about the perception that what you're seeing may be making you feel uncomfortable, but it's not criminal.
And that's a challenge because if I feel uncomfortable and I view that as being unsafe, then I feel unsafe. And to address that is very challenging. We can make things safe at times. But if I don't feel safe, psychologically, I don't feel safe. You're not, that experience is, that's very personal. And so, we're doing our best. We have passionate, driven individuals, that took an oath and they're doing the best they can to keep our community safe. And that is the oath that they took and they will continue to do so.
And take away the addiction component. Some people, it just may simply be mental health, which is a mental disease, not physical. And does that amplify things for police too, that you're called, you take a person to the hospital, they may be sent right back out?
let the people know what challenges frontline face.
Well, you've spoken to, and again, from my words as well, the level of complexity involved. It can be one, two, three, multiple layers here, and they intersect. And dealing with them all at the same time or individual issues becomes problematic for a public safety organization that has only so many tools, and their role in society is very limited and prescribed by law. And so there's some things we can do, and there's some things that people want us to do that we cannot. And so while we are cognizant of that, we go out of our way to do as much as we can, as best as we can.
In the downtown, I've heard people comment, I see, the police there on foot patrol. In the summer, you got cycling, but also seen special constables. When were they added? And, maybe give some examples of policing in the downtown. What's new? What's already there?
So last season, we actually introduced the Guardian program, and those are special constables. They're on foot. They join our downtown community safety and well-being officers who are also working with special constables that are part of the downtown community safety and well-being. So we have an increased footprint during the busiest times in our downtown. And I think our community does appreciate that. And their role is to engage across the community with everyone. And we're checking on the well-being, but we're also monitoring if there's illegal activity. Our officers are directed that if there is open drug use there to address that. They're also there as members of our community. A whole bunch of our members live and work in this community. They brought their families up in this community, and it matters to them. And so they're checking on the well-being of people. They're talking to local service providers. We are trying to find a balance between delivering both public safety and compassion.
The direct motion, directed the city to send formal requests to Barrie Police outlining support for zero tolerance enforcement of drug laws for drug users. Did you interpret that as if the city council was saying that wasn't happening, or how did you interpret that comment?
So my interpretation is as a public safety organization, we police by consent in this country, and we're cognizant that our elected officials have the voice of the people, and they represent them. They're voted in, and so we take heed, we listen, and to recognize what that was echoing was there's a strong concern in our city for people feeling unsafe, and for us to ignore that is unacceptable, and so. We took that for what it was, there's an echoing of a large concern that people feel unsafe. And so we're going out of our way to make sure people are safe, but feel safe as well. And we're taking the appropriate steps to do so.
On the issue of dispensaries, cannabis, legalized marijuana, they're allowed. But again, people commented, well, I see the shroom shops saying, I thought magic mushrooms were illegal. How are they allowed to remain open? Or is that a city zoning issue, or is it an enforcement issue?
So it can be both. It can be many things. But let me be clear. Magic mushrooms or psilocybin is illegal in this country. And those stores are illegal. And as such, as a public safety and law enforcement organization, we are exploring our options and addressing that appropriately.
And again, devil's advocate saying, how come they're allowed to, why are they open today? Can't they be closed today?
And I hear what you're saying, and I'll take you back to what I said earlier. There are guidelines and there are guardrails for public safety organizations like the police and what we're allowed to do and what people would like us to do. And so we are part of the legal system, the front end that people see. And what we are mandated to do and are allowed to do is follow the rules in going about doing our operations. And we will maintain our legitimacy by obeying the laws as they are, and we will conduct ourselves in such a manner.
In the mayor's comments suggest, there are fire bombings, vehicles being driven through the storefronts. It's not happening at other stores, alleging, possible links between those stores or operators and organized crime. Is he right?
We're not seeing fire bombings at other stores. We're cognizant of the grave, and I'll be crystal clear, it's a grave concern to our public safety, to the people who live and who visit our downtown, and we're taking those concerns very seriously, and we're taking the appropriate actions. We're under no illusion that this is commonplace in our city. We don't want to see more of it, and that goes to us listening to our elected officials and our community. they want to feel safe, and fire bombings do not echo that. And so we'll address that appropriately.
Now, Barrie is home, so, I mean, you could say, well, yes, you've heard, you talk to your colleagues, similar problems, in communities like North Bay, Chatham, Sarnia. I mean, maybe magnified because we live here and we're a bigger population, but this isn't akin to just Barrie, is it?
No, it's not. But at a local ward meeting, it was echoed in that room. It was like, and they can appreciate that it occurs across Ontario and across this country, but they're concerned about Barrie. And as am I, and as are those members that work within our organization. And we are focused on bringing that feeling and actual safety to our downtown, the beating heart of our city, as well as across the whole city. And so we are aware that, yes, it does occur across this province and this country, but that doesn't change for the citizens of Barrie what they want. And what they want is a safe downtown and a safer city.
If you were able to have a sit down with the Premier and the Prime Minister from a policing perspective, what would you ask of them to make, and I don't want to say easier because that's not the right word, help the Barrie Police Service do what they're trying to do?
So we live in a wonderful country, and I'm not going to wade into the to areas that the public safety, the police shouldn't be. As a police organization, we police by consent, and the laws that our elected officials make, we will abide by. And my ask is that that the laws that are passed are supportive, with guardrails in place that allow public safety organizations to effectively and not be overburdened with process, conduct their activities, but with those legal guardrails in place. So we're not, we have to answer to the community and maintain our legitimacy. But, it is about reducing processes and making it more effective policing across our country.
Talking dentures today, and to help us out with that is Megan Henn, who's in the denturism program at Georgian College. Welcome to the program.
Hi.
This is one of those things that I think people put off because they don't want to admit that there's anything wrong with their teeth, or they have this long time anxiety with dental work. I know when I was a kid and went to the dentist, we hated it, so we kind of put things off. I'm more comfortable with the dentist these days, but every once in a while, they're going to want to do something and I leave it alone. But we really shouldn't be doing that, should we?
No, not at all.
So what are some of the telltale signs that we should be keeping an eye on that might lead us to believe that we might need to investigate dentures?
If your teeth are hurting, if you have any sore pains in your jaw, your teeth are starting to decay, that might be a reason why we might have to look into things like immediate dentures or a complete upper denture or a complete lower denture.
So what are the first steps? I think I might need dentures, or my dentist thinks I might need dentures, and he or she doesn't look after that. I come to you. What are you going to do for me?
So the first step is a consultation, and then we go in with our preliminary impressions, and that's just an alginate impression. And then we will go in with our final impression, and then we will do bite block appointment, and then we will look over all of the measurements in your teeth, and we basically put this big chunk of wax in your mouth, and then after that we set up all the teeth, and it goes right into wax, and you get to do all the adjustments with that, get to change how the teeth look, change the positioning of the teeth. If the teeth are too high, they're too low, any changes can be made during that appointment. After that, we process it in acrylic, and you try in the dentures, and that's when they're ready to go home. After that, you take them home, and then you bring them back, and we can do adjustments, change anything if need to. If there's any sore spots, we can change the sore spots, things like that.
Sounds like it could be a lengthy process.
Yes, a very lengthy process.
How lengthy on average?
At the school, we do it could be about a couple months of a process, but if it's in a denture clinic, it could be 5 to 6 appointments.
And if somebody needs to have teeth removed for this, do you do that where you
Um,
are, or do they have to have that done somewhere else?
Us denturists, we do not, extract teeth or do anything like that. We just make the prosthesis.
When somebody comes to you and they think or they know that they need dentures, what are the things that concern them? What are they worried about that you have to kind of gloss over for them?
The fear of the dentist, how long the appointment takes. I think a lot of people worry about the price of dentures because it is a lot of money to spend. And with the new CDCP plan, a lot of people have coverage, which is good. And denturists are very busy with the new Canadian dental care plan. So that is a positive. So a lot of people are getting a lot more dentures. Also, a lot of people who have been wearing dentures for many years, they don't want to adjust to a new denture or don't want to get a new denture because that might be worrisome, right? Because that's a big change for someone.
Well, that and there and people, I don't want people to know I have dentures, and there's
Yeah.
there's that going on in the back of their head, and I don't think it's like it was years and years and years ago. I know people who have dentures, and you can't tell.
I was actually heard a story about that the other day is that a lady was telling me that their spouse doesn't know that they have dentures, so they never take them out, which, I mean, it's not a good idea to wear your dentures 24/7, but that's how they feel is that they're so scared to take out their teeth because they don't want anyone to know they have dentures.
Now, you just deal with dentures, not implants, or do you
Um,
do both?
we do implants as well. As a denturist, we can do implants, yes. Do we place the implants surgically? No, we just make the denture to with the implants in it, and then we work alongside a dentist.
Thank you so much for coming in today, enlightening us, and making people maybe feel a little more comfortable about having to go through the process.
Thank you so much.
Township of Ramera got some provincial cash last week to upgrade wastewater infrastructure. Acting Minister of Infrastructure Todd McCarthy was on hand for the groundbreaking and took some time to call in to speak with our Julius Hearn about government funding and priorities and protecting Simcoe County's environment.
Curious, I know there's an application process with all the grants. Would they go into this? I know Aurelia was also they got some money for a similar investment there. What goes into analyzing those applications to determine what communities should be prioritized?
Well, first of all, we've invested over $532 million across all of Simcoe County, including Barrie and Aurelia. This is done through criteria established through the Municipal Housing Infrastructure Program. Municipal Housing and Infrastructure Program is MHIP, that's the acronym. And this particular program includes over $449 million invested. And then in addition, there's the Ontario Community Infrastructure Fund, OSIF. That's $74 million since 2024. All of this is since 2024. And then the Building Faster Fund, that was $8.9 million. So together, $532 million. And you're right, Bayshore Village wastewater treatment project today is receiving $30 million included in the $532 million across Simcoe County. And I'm joining my great MPP and colleague, the Honorable Jill Dunlop, and Mayor Basil Clark of Ramara to break ground for Bayshore Village wastewater treatment plant today. I'm on my way there now.
Yeah, as we speak, I know it's a big day for the community up there in Ramera, and I know there is a significant First Nations population in Ramera, and I'm curious if that plays a factor at all. Maybe when these investments are kind of confirmed for those kind of communities.
Oh, absolutely. We need to invest in the infrastructure in our municipalities and First Nations communities. We need to build and also upgrade our local roads, bridges, and water and wastewater systems, because the housing growth in Ramera and in Tate Township and all over is growing rapidly. Barrie, where your listeners are, it's projected to double from 298,000 individual citizens by 2051. So the Simcoe's population is growing very, very fast. Barrie's leading that charge. And we need to invest, as I said, in all municipalities and First Nations, because it's not just enabling new housing, it's also supporting existing housing when it comes to investing in water and wastewater systems, bridges, and roads.
Now, without provincial funding for these projects, I know you mentioned a lot of different streams that the money is coming from for these kind of investments. Without the funding for these projects like these, how much more would local taxpayers or utility users have to had pay without them?
Well, that's exactly what we're trying to avoid. Premier Ford often says, very much so, and it's very true. We have to create the conditions for growth and to build the Ontario of tomorrow. But we're also a government that has never raised a tax. In fact, we've reduced taxes. So the last thing we want to do is see property tax increases in municipalities unnecessarily. We don't want to burden our citizens and residents with unnecessary taxation. So we're coming to the aid of municipalities with these funding streams on MHIP and OSIF and the Building Faster Fund. That's important. So what that does is it creates the funding for the needed infrastructure without ever raising a tax or allowing taxes to be raised on the property tax side municipally.
So I know you also have the portfolio. You're also the Minister of Environment, Conservation, and Parks. So this kind of a twofold thing for you today, I guess you could say. So my question there is, how significant is the investing in protecting Lake Simcoe itself?
Well, Lake Simcoe is especially protected under the Lake Simcoe protection legislation that we have. And that's very, very important. We keep an eye on the phosphorus levels to make sure that Simcoe is there for clean drinking water and clean water use for our residents. And it's really the key to the breadbasket of Ontario. So as Lake Simcoe goes, so goes Ontario. And Ontario is strong, and Lake Simcoe is strong and protected. I always like to say that strong environmental stewardship is good economic policy. And you're right. I'm wearing two hats. I'm environmental minister and Minister of the Environment, Conservation, and Parks specifically, and acting infrastructure minister. The two go hand in hand. We can build the Ontario of tomorrow while protecting our shared environment, and that we are doing.
How much concern is there currently for aging infrastructure in those communities like Ramera and Aurelia around the Lake Simcoe area?
Well, this is a heritage area for Ontario. I mean, our founders and our early arrivals from Europe and elsewhere came to Simcoe County. I have ancestors who came to Simcoe County as well. So as a result, a lot of the infrastructure is aging and is in need of upgrade. So the investment includes upgrading existing infrastructure and also obviously building new infrastructure. That's very crucial. So it's enabling new housing and supporting existing housing.
What would you say to residents in Ramera today, I guess, as you're on your way, who may not see the immediate impact of the investment today in a day-to-day basis?
I would say, first of all, congratulations. The future is bright, and we are very much living, obviously, for the present, but looking to the future. That is what these investments are about. Stay tuned for more.
Mr. McCarthy, again, really appreciate your time, and good luck today.
Thank you very much. Looking forward to it. Take care.
Hearing a lot about ticks as the weather warms up. Are there more of them this year? Where are they hiding? How do you protect you and your pet against them? Here again is Ian McLennan getting a prescription from Oscar Pico at the Simcoe Muskoka District Health Unit.
We've been told for a number of years about ticks, and some have even described it as an invasion. I remember the song, The Ants Go Marching One by One. That was a fun kid's song, but now it seems like the ticks are marching one by one. How concerned should we be about ticks, and what type of variety are we finding in Simcoe County?
In general, we should be aware of the presence of ticks in the region. We know that the population of ticks have been increasing over the past few years in Ontario, and including Simcoe Muskoka. But I wouldn't say that we should be very concerned. I would use the word aware of the existence of the ticks and that these ticks may be carrying certain infections that affect humans.
What is the most well-known tick right now in Simcoe Muskoka? Is it the black-legged tick or deer tick, as they call it?
So we have a variety of populations of ticks, but the one that we're most concerned about is black-legged tick. That's correct. And that's the one that transmits diseases that I'm referring to.
And diseases such as Lyme disease?
And that's the one that people have heard about the most. and is the one that we have seen a lot more cases, and the cases increasing slightly over the past few years. But there's also the risk of other diseases.
And what other diseases could this black-legged tick or deer tick cause for people?
Other than Lyme disease, these ticks can carry anaplasmosis, babesiosis, and Powassan virus, just to name a few. Um, these diseases are difficult or can be a little bit challenging to distinguish based on symptoms. So there are specific tests that can be done for those, and these diseases are also different type of bugs that can all be present in this tick.
For Lyme disease, what sort of symptoms should people be aware of?
There are a few symptoms like fever, feeling tired, fatigue, chills, having a headache, muscle ache, joint pain, and the one of the ones people are have probably heard about the most is rash. That's an expanding bull's eye that looks like a ring with a clear area in the middle. And if people experience any of the symptoms, then that's a good reason to go get assessed by a healthcare provider.
And what sort of treatment is available should a person be diagnosed with Lyme disease?
There is a treatment that can happen once the disease has been diagnosed and the person presents with symptoms, but this antibiotic can also be used as a prophylactic. So meaning if the person has been exposed to a tick bite, then this person can take one single dose of this antibiotic to prevent the infection from developing. And we know that this is more than 90% effective. And the earlier people do it after they identify a tick, the better.
What can be the results if Lyme disease is left untreated or not treated soon enough?
Yeah, so unfortunately, there are some complications if Lyme disease is not treated. And we know that these complications can happen in about 10% of people, and even can occur among people who have been treated. Most of the times, we're talking about joint diseases, heart, or central nervous system conditions. There is even a medical term that we use is post-treatment Lyme disease syndrome, which is similar to what people have been read in the news about long COVID, so brain fog, some joint pain, that can happen weeks, months, or even longer after they have had the disease.
Dr. Simcoe County, Muskoka, including Barrie and Orillia, lots of walking trails, beautiful Simcoe County forests. People like to get out into nature. What sort of protection do people need to consider if they are heading out on a hike or on a trail?
Yeah, so well, the main thing is really the most effective way to prevent it is to avoid certain areas. However, we do want people to go outdoors to enjoy the nice weather, and the next big thing would be to be mindful of the presence of ticks in the region. There are a few recommendations and actions people can take, like make it a habit to shower within 2 hours after spending time outdoors, and most importantly, do a full body tick check after spending some time, even if it's a short time outdoors. So check your body, check your children and your pets. There are certain areas of the body that are very hard to see, like your back, behind your knees, your ankles, depending on your body type. So you can ask someone else to check for you, and also be mindful of those hard to see areas, like behind the knees, your groin, the scalp, and the armpits.
What about DEET? Does that work?
There are some insect repellents that contain DEET, that can be used, that are safe, and that can be used to prevent or to prevent the ticks from attaching to your body. It doesn't 100%, but it's definitely effective, and it's something that we recommend. I would recommend people to read the labels, because depending on the age, there are different recommendations in terms of the concentration and the number of times that people can use this insect repellent. But it's definitely another precaution that people can take.
What about pets? Whether a person lets their cat out in the backyard or they're taking their dog through a hike in the woods, is there a risk factor for the animal and possible spread to a human too?
Well, I'm not an expert in veterinary medicine, but there is definitely a risk for the pets to get the ticks. In terms of the symptoms, it's a little bit tricky because they unfortunately can't tell us what they're feeling. But if you notice an abnormal behavior, like limping, fever, loss of appetite, then that may be a sign that that the pet may have been bit by a tick. I would recommend people to take their pets to their veterinary doctor and get them assessed. There are also some topical or chewable medications that help prevent the ticks.
Does winter kill off the ticks, or is it a case of where, as the climate warms, tick can thrive even all season?
Tick season starts around April, and even at the beginning of March. We have been seeing an increase of presence of ticks a little bit earlier in the year than before, and all the way up to October, November. Regarding whether the ticks remain present in the winter, I can't really comment on that. But we know that the tick season starts around March, April, and it lasts for a few months until the fall.
Does the health unit map out high-risk areas in Simcoe Muskoka where ticks are more prominent, or is it a case of just be aware no matter where you're going?
So both are true. Be aware of the presence of ticks anywhere in Ontario, especially a little bit closer to the south. But the health unit does keep track of the presence of ticks, and even there is some signage posted in some of the most common trails. So just watch out for those. There is even a QR code with a link to check out some videos and some resources with information about how to prevent Lyme disease or other infections carried by ticks and relevant information.
Now, I know there was a piece on CBC Online about they suggested a U.S. tick invasion. There are other types of ticks that may not have been seen in Ontario. Is this, I don't want to maybe ask you to predict, but a growing problem that other species will eventually find their way to southern Ontario, Simcoe Muskoka?
So we have seen a change in the presence of ticks in the region. At this moment, we are continuing with our regular surveillance of ticks. So definitely, if there is the appearance of new species or an increase or a change in the percentage of species that are present in the region, that will be captured as part of the monitoring system. However, at this point, I don't have much information really to talk about any other species or new species posing a threat in the region.
I'm Julius Hearn, sitting on the bleachers at Athletic Culture Stadium with Kenise Ejo. And Kenise, you're back this year, and it's kind of a new era for you and for this team. First off, after last year, how does it feel to be back in Barrie?
Nah, it feels great. Feels like I never left, to be honest. Yeah.
What do you remember most about the couple of years you were here, especially the championship?
I just remember, having great friends. I miss the team camaraderie and just positive vibes over here. So I'm excited to be back.
How did it feel like, kind of reconnect with some of the guys that you played with here in previous years, and even some of the new guys?
No, really good. It feels good to see the guys again and catch up and stuff, and also all the new guys too as well. And it's been great. Everyone seems really welcoming and really excited for the season.
What was the conversation like for you in the off season here for you to come back?
Barrie was obviously my number one to come back, and I talked to Matt Lowe and see how that would look like, and it was pretty smooth thing. It wasn't really much of a back and forth. We knew both of us wanted to be here, and I'm excited.
Yeah, I do want to touch on last year in Ottawa, because I think that was a big story that we were following here for those that were involved with the team. First off, to get that opportunity, what did it feel like, especially coming off the high of a championship?
No, I felt great. I was very confident going in, and it was awesome to be given that opportunity.
What was the experience like in Ottawa compared to what you had experienced here in this league so far?
It's a professional league. They treat their guys well, and there's definitely a high standard there, and something I was really open to we're ready to take on. But other than that, like, I mean, the game isn't too far off. I think maybe a little quicker, but other than that, like, I think this league is pretty close.
Did you had to make any like adjustments in the camp there, or was it pretty much the same kind of thing?
Yeah, I think same kind of thing. I think yeah, like I said, the game's maybe a little quicker. But guys are really clean, polished there. But at the same time, I think this league's not too far off. Yeah.
So you got cut as far as I know in terms of the language of it. When that moment happened, like what was going through your mind?
Yeah, I mean, it was a tough one to swallow. I mean, obviously that wasn't the plan going in, and I was very confident in, my ability and to stay on the team. But things happen, and I think it was a learning opportunity for me, and it got me an opportunity to focus on other things in my life, and really learn about my relationship with the game. And yeah, I think it was a blessing in disguise, I would say.
What was the aftermath of that looking like when, the time for this, like the IBL season last year approached and you still weren't playing baseball? Like what was going through your mind? Like, did you know that it was going to be an off year for you, or were you kind of still in a mulling it over kind of phase?
Yeah, I think it was something that I think I dealt with internally. I also had a little bit of an injury as well that I was dealing with, and I knew that I've always worked hard in this game and given it all in this game, and whenever I step on the field, I always want to I'm always want to be at my best and feel at my best, and want to be there. And so I think after Ottawa, I think I needed time to kind of take a step back and figure out who I was and what I wanted and the person I wanted to be. And that time off did that, so I'm appreciated for it.
What was the injury, if you don't mind me asking?
I had a bit of a finger thing, and that was really bugging me, and I also had a bit of a shoulder thing as well that I was dealing with, and so just a little bit of everything. I just wanted to take that time for myself. I think it was a little bit of physical injury, but also a bit of a mental struggle as well that I was dealing with, and I think mental health is something that isn't as talked about as much, and I think I needed that time to really figure out who I was and the direction I wanted to go.
Obviously, with professional baseball being the goal at that point, and kind of seeing what could have been a dream, kind of slip away at that point. Were there any doubts throughout that year for you that you may not come back to the game?
I think those thoughts were definitely there. It was something that I dealt with internally. A lot of questioning, the journey and everything, and thankfully I found myself in other ways, and I created something for myself outside of baseball, and it really made me appreciate the game a lot more, and it made me miss it a lot more. So now I'm coming in the season very confident, very happy to be here. I'm grateful for the opportunity to play and an opportunity to do other things outside of ball as well.
What did you learn most about maybe your mental health in that time off?
I think understanding that actually, so during that time, I read a really good book that helped me through the that process. It's called The Obstacle is the Way by Ryan Holiday, and just talking about how things don't always happen as planned, but those things lead you to something that maybe you didn't expect and something that is actually meant for you. And if you always look at any obstacles or any roadblocks on the way in your life, it's actually something that it's used to build for something greater. And I think that's what I really bought into within myself, and I think that's probably something I didn't even really fully grasp before Ottawa. And I think that process, what happened there, I think it made me a better person and made me more appreciative of life and all the opportunities I have, and be able to be more resilient.
I watched some of your social media reels and stuff, and it really seemed like you were living life really well, especially during the summertime, not having the burden of baseball, so to speak. So what did you do in the meantime when baseball season was going on?
I worked a lot, which was nice. And, I put myself in a better financial situation, which was something I wanted, was a priority of mine. And then also, working downtown, I had a lot of social opportunities to, be more out in the community there, and made a lot of new relationships and friendships. And I also took more time to kind of create more of an identity online and social media, and which I'm very grateful for. And I thought, I've always thought I've had that ability to, to inspire and influence others. So I think, the summer gave me the opportunity to really take that on and just kind of create something, greater for me.
I know you're doing a lot of yoga and a lot of more spiritual wellness. It really seemed like down in Toronto there. How long did you go between, throwing a ball or even taking a few swings?
Yeah, actually, I took baseball off all summer. I didn't touch a ball. I didn't swing a bat for the whole summer. Honestly, I started swinging again. I think about I think it was maybe December. So yeah, I took a lot of time off the game, and you know, it was something that I think, like I said, I needed, and it was giving me an opportunity to focus on other things in my life, and kind of open my horizons in fitness and wellness, like you said, like with yoga, Pilates, and running. I did a lot of running as well, which was really cool, and kind of testing my physical abilities outside of baseball.
Did you do like a marathon or half marathon?
No half marathon, no marathons, but it's definitely something I want to do in the future. I think I know there was one in Toronto recently. But yeah, obviously I'm training for, a baseball season. It's kind of tough to train for a marathon with that because they're, it's different types of running. So, but I can see myself in the future doing that. I was just running a lot of 5Ks, 10Ks, multiple times a week. And yeah, it was really cool.
So when we got to towards the winter months and, baseball might have been starting to creep into your mind a little bit, what kind of convincing did it take for, maybe baseball to be on your horizons?
Yeah, I mean, I think that itch was always there. But I think with all the time off and just thinking about my career in baseball and, how it ended last year, I think the one thing that was in my mind is that, I'd rather go out, on my own terms if that was the case. And I think, because I had so much high hopes for last season because of where I was, obviously, my success from the year before, but also, going into the season, I went to Florida. I think I unlocked something within myself in my swing and in my game. And, I thought I was going to have an unbelievable season last year, and I was very confident. So I think what the main thing that I was going through in the winter months was the opportunity to say, listen, maybe I didn't have the opportunity to do it last year, but this is the year that I could really prove to myself and everyone that I can unlock something greater and even greater than how I am in my 2024.
How much did convincing might it have took from family or friends?
Honestly, I think I didn't even have a lot of people really in my ear too much about it. I think so what I really appreciate about my family, my mom, and everyone is there wasn't much of a push. I think it was more just supporting, my decision and where I was in life, and which was, I think, exactly what I needed. I think whenever anyone's pushed to do something that they're unsure about, I think it only does the opposite. It pushes them away. So I think the support of just letting me be and letting me make the decisions that I wanted, I think that helped me get back to the game.
How much did the CBL rebrand really kind of push your decision to come back now that it's a pro league?
No, for sure. It definitely had something to do with it. I think it's really awesome what they're doing, and the opportunities they're bringing to people, outside of North America and Canada, and to make the game more competitive. And I think it definitely lit a fire a bit in me. Just the opportunity to be a part of the first year of that, and I think it's a great opportunity. It's great for the league.
Do you have any added expectations now that it's a more professional league?
Yeah, I think I have I went into it thinking hey, it's going to be a more competitive league. It's going to be a lot of outside players abroad that are coming in, and that they're coming in to play and play well and have an opportunity to play at a high level. So yeah, it was something that definitely brought up the competitive nature in me, that why not come in and be one of the top guys.
How have you gelled with some of the newer guys here as well, even though some of them just arrived last week?
Yeah, it's been cool. I think everyone coming in has been great and seems super positive, which I think is very important. I think there's still a lot to know about everyone coming in, but yeah, I'm excited to just get to know everyone and have a good year with them.
When you look at this team broadly, what do you think the biggest strength is heading into the year?
I mean, it's still early to say. Obviously, we only played one game, but I think we're just very deep. It seems like I think 1 through 9, there's so many ways we can come at you, and I think our pitching staff looks incredible. from the starting staff to to our bullpen. It looks really good. I haven't seen everybody pitch yet, but I just kind of get that feeling. So I think that's great. I think offensively, we have different ways that we can come at a team, and the pitching staff looks very great and healthy.
As a lot of fans know, you set the single season stolen base record. I know that was huge for you, but you also set the single season hits record. I'm not sure if you knew that as well. 63 hits in 2024, which is
I didn't even know that.
A single season record for the Baycats.
Mm-hmm.
How much motivation is there to break the records, especially the stolen base records? I know that one means a lot to you.
Yeah, no. I mean, it's definitely on my mind. I think that's something that is a great goal to have, and something to, it's great to have that goal to, push you to be better. And like I said, I'm trying to definitely, be productive in all ways on the field that I can, and I definitely want to get more bags this year. I think last year, that 2024, I dealt with a hamstring thing for a while, so I couldn't really run as much as I wanted. But this year, I feel a lot more healthier, so that's definitely something that I'd love to chase.
You expect this team to be more aggressive than in previous years?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I haven't seen everybody how the playing style, especially the new guys. I don't know if a lot of guys want to like to run, but I know that I'd love to run and make things happen. So yeah.
Well, Knies, again, I really appreciate your time.
No
good luck this year, and really happy to see you back at the ballpark.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
And that's our program for this week. Thanks to Ian and Julius for their input, to Logan for his technical expertise, to Gio for getting the word out, and to you for listening. If you like what you've heard, please subscribe to What Barrie's Talking About. You can also keep up with What Barrie's Talking About on Blue Sky and X at Barrie360, on our website, Barrie360.com, and there's our daily Kickstart podcast available from any streaming service and on our website. I'm Dan Blakely. Hope you'll join us again next week.